folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, we are supposed to get above freezing today. Big celebration around here, I'm telling you. It's been quite cold for the last week or so, and today we get above freezing, and then after today, tomorrow, we jump from above freezing to in the 60s. So we're excited about that. Finally, I know it's pretty. I get it. There's a certain nice, cool awesomeness to the snow, but when you have to work out in it every day, you're kind of ready for it to be gone after a while. If you are one of the people that come to our local meetings, we are not having that today. I've mentioned that before a few times this week. We're not having it today because, as you can see around here, while most of the main roads are clear, a lot of the side roads are still very slick, where it's been compacted and melted a little bit and then refrozen. There are people that are still having difficulty getting out of their house, and so for safety, we are canceling it, and we'll pick it back up next month on the 30th. So I know I hate that. Everybody looks forward to our big meetings, just a big kind of family gathering, but we just chose, some of us talked about it and decided that for safety reasons, we're gonna call it off for this month. I've as if I haven't talked about stuff here lately enough to irritate some people, I'm gonna irritate some people again, but not the same kind of stuff. When I talk about this, for some reason, a lot of people just get all bent out of shape. I'm talking about community. The things that I've been talking about lately that are happening or that could be happening, and especially this transhumanism, this agenda to turn everyone into some kind of AI androgynous drone kind of thing, or at least have that in our life. And I've had people ask, well, what do we do? Is just growing a garden enough? No, it's not enough. I mean, it helps. It's helpful to produce your own food. It's helpful to be in a position where you're capable of not being dependent upon the system. All those things are important. And for some people, that may be enough. But you really need to go another step. And another step is working on a community, people around you. And I'm not speaking just strictly like a little prepper mag, which is a few families that have pulled together and we're going to ride out the storm. And that's important too. I'm speaking of the greater community around you. First thing is location. And I know I'm going to hear it. But location really is important. Think about some of the places that exist that are not conducive to our lifestyle. And that's a lot of places. And some of you live in those places. It's not just about getting out in the country. It's not just about, having 20, 30 acres to where you can live off grid and all that kind of stuff. It's about living, and that's part of it. But maybe not everyone can do that. Maybe not everyone has the physical ability to maintain that kind of land and all that kind of stuff. But getting into a place where the people around you are much more like-minded. And that's actually more common than you think. People that are more self-sufficient, they're capable of figuring it out on their own. They're conservative. They're biblically, have at least a biblical foundation in their life. Doesn't mean that they're necessarily all living that life every day, but at least they understand it and they respect it. Good, decent American people. Living in a place like that, you're going to be a lot safer. Things are going to go a lot better. When things start hitting the fan and falling apart, people in the small rural communities are going to stick together better. It's not going to be perfect. I'm not a fool. But it would be better than, say, living in Chicago or, East St. Louis or, something like that. And so I really, really, again, want to encourage you folks to be getting out and trying to find a better place to live. And right now may be a good time for that. But also to be building a strong community around you. And part of that is when you live, if you live now or you move into a place that, as I'm speaking, a rural community, something like where I live, you need to be involved in it. Too many times, and I think this is a big thing that a lot of preppers do. They're kind of isolationist. They get their little place, they build their little homestead, and then they keep to themselves. And I don't think that's a good idea at all. I think it's a very poor planned idea. I think that we need to be involved in our local community. And in these local little rural communities, it's a great place to be involved in because you can actually make a difference. Be involved, whether it's like with me, the local fire department, an emergency response team, start a CERT team. If you don't know what a CERT team is, look it up. A community emergency response team, where you can, be a supporting role to local fire departments if there's disasters, tornadoes, floods, snowstorms, all that kind of stuff. That you can be out there and help. Local school events, around here, our children don't go to the schools. We homeschool, but we know the principal and the superintendent and many of the teachers, and we support the local schools because even though our children don't go there, we want to have a presence there. So when they do some kind of little local fundraiser or a little fair or something like that for the community, we're there. Local churches do the same thing. We may not attend that local church, but if they do some type of community function, we try to go there. Any type of benefits and things like that, little fundraisers for maybe a family that, someone has cancer or, whatever it is that they're trying to raise money, we're involved in it. We try to be a presence in our community. And what it's doing is it's number one, we're building relationships with the people around us. And they're seeing that we're part of the community. We're not just living here because it's rural and isolated. We're living here because we want to be part of the community. And I think that's a real big thing that a lot of preppers that live out in the rural parts of the country, they don't do. They tend to be isolationists. And it doesn't mean that you're going to agree with everyone. It doesn't mean that everyone's going to be like you. It doesn't mean that everyone's going to be a prepper, everyone's going to be a Christian or anything like that. But you are building relationships with people that live in your area. And so when things go crazy, you're going to know them. They're going to know you. There's going to be a better chance that you'll be able to pull together and survive through things. It's while Hollywood depicts this, and sometimes it is true, that people will turn their back on you or stab you in the back. The average American that's conservative and Bible believing, even if they're not living the life that you live, they're not like that to people that they know, people that they have a relationship with. They tend to treat differently. And so one of the things that we have to be doing when we move out into the country and we're starting on this journey of homesteading and self-sufficiency is we need to be involved in those communities. Go into the local farmers markets, and if there isn't one, start one. If you live out in this rural community and there's not a little farmers market, find a place. Maybe there's a community center or a church parking lot or, a Lions Club or a school parking lot or somewhere that they would let you, use the parking lot and have a farmer's market. Things like that build community, folks. And that is something that in the prepper world, it's not really factored in. You get your bunker, right? You buy all your beans and your rice and your freeze-dried food and your cases of ammo and your cool tactical gear, and you're ready to go. And you don't care about anyone around you. You have, that can't be. We have to be building relationships with people around us, and we have to be involved in those communities. Many preppers have a lot to give back to their community because you have, you've learned things. You've developed skills that maybe not everyone has. You know how to grow food. You know how to do first aid. You know how to build things. And so giving back to the community and helping them become more prepared, even if they don't realize it, well, it's putting you in a better position, because if the people around you are a little bit more prepared, they're a little bit more self-sufficient, they've built stronger relationships with the people around them, when the doo-doo hits the fan, when things fall apart, they're less likely to just kind of go into crazy panic mode, because there's been relationships built, because they've gotten a little bit more prepared. I say this to people here locally all the time. For every person around me, and I'm not talking about just physically neighbor, I'm just talking in my area, everyone around me that I build a relationship with, that I help in some form or fashion become more prepared, that's one less person that I'll likely have to potentially deal with in an adversarial way when things fall apart. And so that's what we have to do. You don't have to agree with everyone. You don't have to believe the same way. You don't have to go to the same church or, interpret the Bible the same way. You just basically need to be a neighbor. And what's weird is that people think that this is so odd anymore, and this is exactly what people used to do all the time. This is actually normal, what I'm speaking of. Being a neighbor and being part of a community, that's normal. What we have today, where people are isolated and they're not participating, they're not helpful, they're not giving back to their community, that's abnormal. And so we've got to do this. You have to build a place that you want to raise your family. It's not just about the nature or the isolation part of it. It's the community around you. As your children grow up, I think to yourself, would I want my children to find their spouses in this community? Well, then you need to work to build a better community, to build a good community, to build a solid, conservative, biblically based community. Do your part in that. That's part of the Great Commission and letting your light shine in this world. And too many times preppers forget that. We focus solely on what we're going to do for ourselves, our families, to get ourselves and our families prepared. Nothing wrong with that. But we also have to work on our communities. We have to give back to them. We have to serve them, and help them and make them stronger, because that's how communities used to be, and there's many still are. But that, like I said, that used to be normal, where people just pulled together, they helped each other. And we need to do that again. We need to be part of that again. And I think more than anyone, preppers, homesteaders are the perfect people for that. We are the ones that should be leading that. And so if you are either living rurally or attempting to live rurally, you need to be thinking about that. You need to be getting to know people and being involved in the things that go on in your local community. It's not perfect. Local communities have problems too. But you need to be a presence in those communities so that you can give back and build relationships and do your part in bringing your community together. And when that happens, your prepper mag has just expanded much greatly. And you've got a lot more people that are going to pull together when things get tough. And that's something that we all should be doing. Even if it's not as rural as where I live, maybe it's a small little town or something like that, it can work. And get involved and give back, because it makes a big difference. These are things that a lot of times that preppers just miss. It's not popular on YouTube. It's not exciting, right? But I think that from a survival, self-sufficient preparedness perspective, it's a necessary thing that we have to do. We are a communal people. We were created to be part of a community. That's how God created us. And fighting that and trying to be this lone wolf isolationist doesn't work for most people. And so for the rest of you, need to get out there and get involved, be part of it, help build it stronger, and you'll create lots of relationships too, good relationships, and you'll be stronger, and so will your community. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.